My name is Elena Harper, and I need to tell you about the dinner that changed everything. It was my parents' 35th wedding anniversary. The restaurant was one of those trendy places with exposed brick and Edison bulbs. Mason's choice, of course. My brother always chose places that announced, "I've made it." I arrived on time, which meant I was first. Dad gave me his usual bear hug. Mom offered her cheek, already scanning the entrance behind me. "Mason's running late," she said. Not a question. A fact she was already forgiving. Mason arrived 20 minutes later with Sienna, his girlfriend of 3 months. They made an entrance, both glowing with that particular sheen of people who believe the world is watching. Mom lit up like Christmas morning. "There he is." She stood up, smoothing her dress. The hug she gave Mason lasted twice as long as mine. We ordered drinks. Mason launched into a story about closing some major deal. Mom hung on every word, radiating pride so bright it could have powered the restaurant. I sipped my wine and waited for someone to ask about my week. And no one did. The food came. Dad asked Mason about his place. "So, how's that penthouse of yours? Still loving the view?" And there it was. The opening Mom had been waiting for all night. Oh my goodness. The penthouse. Mom's voice rose half an octave. 23rd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A terrace you could host a party on. Absolutely magnificent. "It's comfortable," Mason said with practiced modesty. "Comfortable," Mom laughed. "He's being humble." "Elena, you've been there, haven't you?" My fork paused. "Once, briefly. Isn't it incredible? Corner unit, 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. That fancy Italian stove, what is it, Mason?" "Bertazzoni," Sienna supplied. "Right. Professional grade." Mom took a long sip of her martini, and I saw the shift in her eyes. The calculation. "You know, Elena, you've been in your little apartment for 5 years now?" My stomach clenched. 6 years. Same place. 1 bedroom. Still renting. She said it like I'd confessed to a crime. "Don't you think you should invest in property? Build equity? Look at Mason. He's younger than you by 2 years. And he already owns that beautiful penthouse." The table went quiet. "Actually," Mason said carefully. "Mom, I don't think I'm just saying," Mom continued, gaining momentum, "that maybe if you focused more on your career, put in the extra hours like your brother does, you might afford something nicer. Something you could actually own." Dad shifted uncomfortably. "Honey, I think Elena's doing just fine." Mom laughed sharply. "Fine is what you say when you don't want to hurt someone's feelings." "Mason isn't fine. Mason is exceptional. He's thriving. And maybe, just maybe, if Elena spent less time with her little hobbies and more time networking, she wouldn't be stuck in a 1-bedroom rental at 34. The words hit like a slap. Sienna looked down at her plate. Dad cleared his throat. Mason opened his mouth, closed it, and Mom just sat there, martini in hand, waiting for me to apologize for not being him. Something inside me cracked. I set down my fork very carefully. "You're right," I said quietly. "Mason has a beautiful penthouse." Mom smiled, thinking she'd won. "Exactly. I'm not trying to be harsh, sweetheart. I'm trying to motivate you." "No," I said, my voice steady now. "You're trying to humiliate me." Her smile flickered. "And you've done a great job. In front of everyone. You've made it clear that I'm a disappointment. That my brother is the success story and I'm the cautionary tale." "Elena," Dad started. I held up my hand. "But here's the thing, Mom. You're absolutely right about one thing. Mason does have a beautiful penthouse. That corner unit on the 23rd floor with the windows and the terrace and the fancy Italian stove." Mason had gone very still. "He has all of that," I continued, "because for the past 3 years, he's been renting it from me." The crack became a chasm. Mom's face went blank, then confused, then panicked. "What? The penthouse Mason lives in? I own it. Bought it 7 years ago as an investment. Mason moved in 3 years ago when he needed a place that looked impressive for clients. I gave him a family discount, $1,500 below market value." Sienna's eyes widened. Dad froze mid-chew. "That's not—" Mom looked at Mason. "Tell her that's not true." But Mason wasn't looking at her. He was looking at me, drained of all color. "Mason?" Mom's voice pitched higher. "Tell them you own it." I never said I bought it. His voice came out hoarse. You assumed. The table erupted. You lied? Mom's voice carried across the restaurant. I didn't lie. I just didn't correct you when I bragged to everyone. When I posted about it on Facebook, Mom's hands shook. Do you know how many people I told? I'm sorry. The clients expect a certain lifestyle. And if they knew I was renting, you let me shame your sister. Mom's voice cracked. You sat there and let me compare her to you. Knowing she turned to me, really looked at me for the first time all evening. Elena. Her eyes filled with tears. Baby, I'm so no. I stood up, pulled my purse over my shoulder. You don't get to apologize yet. I didn't tell you about the penthouse because I didn't need your validation. I bought it because it was smart. I rented to Mason because he's my brother. And I've stayed in my little apartment because I like it there. Because it's mine. Because I chose it. I looked at each of them. I have spent 34 years trying to earn your approval. Trying to be smart enough, successful enough, impressive enough. And you know what I realized tonight? I am enough. I've always been enough. The only person who didn't see it was you. I pulled 320s from my wallet and dropped them on the table. That's for my dinner. Happy anniversary. I made it to my car before the tears came. The next morning, I woke up to 47 messages. Most were from Dad apologetic, asking me to explain. A few from Mason, long paragraphs of justification about image and clients and planning to tell everyone eventually. I deleted those, and then the ones from Mom. 7 messages, each progressively more desperate. Please call me. I need to explain. I was drunk. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't shut me out. I turned off my phone and went for a run. By mile 5, I'd made a decision. I called my lawyer, Rebecca Kim. Elena, what's up? I need to review Mason's lease. I need to know my options for ending it. I gave her the story. When I finished, she whistled low. Your mom really did that? She really did. Okay. Pulling up the lease. Mason has 5 months left. There's a termination clause, 90 days notice with a 1-month penalty. About $3,500. And if I don't terminate, auto renews for another year unless someone gives notice 60 days before expiration. So I have 3 months to decide. Correct. What are you thinking? What was I thinking? I don't know yet. But I want to know my options. 2 hours later, my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Elena Harper? My name is Patricia Volkov, real estate agent with Prestige Properties. I received your number from Mason Harper. He said you're the owner of the penthouse at 1140 Rosewood, Unit 2301. My stomach tightened. I am excellent. I have a client interested in that unit. They're prepared to offer significantly above market value, $780,000. Cash. Close in 30 days. Mason had given her my number. This morning, while I wasn't answering his messages, what exactly did Mason tell you? I asked carefully. He said you'd been thinking about liquidating assets and the timing might be right. $780,000 for a property I'd bought for $550. It was a great offer, and Mason had lined it up in less than 24 hours, Miss Volkov. I'm not interested in selling. And in the future, if Mason Harper contacts you about any of my properties, please disregard it. He doesn't represent me in any capacity. I hung up and immediately called Rebecca. Mason's trying to force me to sell the penthouse. After I explained, she said, "That's bold. Stupid, but bold. Document everything." Then we sit down with him in my office and remind him that tenant harassment is a real thing with real consequences. The meeting happened 3 days later. Mason showed up in a suit, like this was business. Like we were strangers. Rebecca didn't waste time. She laid out the lease, the termination clause, the timeline. Elena has the right to terminate your lease with 90 days notice, she said. She also has the right to decline renewal. What she doesn't have is any obligation to sell the property or coordinate her business decisions with your image management. Mason's jaw tightened. I wasn't trying to. You gave a real estate agent her personal number. That's interference at best. I just thought if she was going to kick me out anyway, how considerate. I said flatly. He looked at me directly. Elena, I'm sorry for all of it, but you have to understand, My entire professional reputation is tied up in that address. If I have to move now, if word gets out I was renting, you'll look like what you are. I finished. Someone who prioritized image over integrity. He flinched. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm not terminating your lease early. You can stay the full 5 months. But when it ends, you're moving out. No renewal, Elena. And you're going to tell mom and dad the truth. All of it. How long you've been renting. How much I was helping you. You're going to own what happened at that dinner. His face went red. You really are going to make me do this? Yes. He paced to the window. Fine, I'll tell them. But after this, we're done. The family stuff, the Sunday dinners. We're not coming back from this. The words should have hurt. Okay, I said simply. He looked shocked. But Rebecca was already standing, making it official. I met with Mom 2 weeks later. A coffee shop, neutral territory. She was already there with 2 cups. She'd ordered my drink. Oat milk latte. Extra shot. No sweetener. She'd remembered. Hi, she said. Her eyes were red-rimmed. She looked smaller, older. Hi. Silence. She turned her cup in her hands. I practiced what I was going to say. And now I can't remember any of it. She took a shaky breath. I have spent 2 weeks thinking about what I did. What I said. Not just at dinner, but for years. And Elena, I can't take it back. Any of it. Tears slid down her cheeks. Your father showed me everything. The investments, the savings, what you've built. And I realized I never asked. I just looked at the surface and decided I knew. Why? My voice came out hoarse. Why was it so easy to believe the worst about me? Because you made it look easy. Everything you did looked effortless. And Mason struggled. So when he succeeded, it felt bigger, more earned. And you think I didn't struggle? No, I know you did. But you didn't show me I did ask for help, Mom. You just weren't listening. She looked up sharply. I asked you to come to my apartment when I moved in. You were too busy. I invited you to the fundraiser I organized. You had book club. I called when I got promoted. And you asked if Mason knew because he might have connections. Her face crumpled. I asked for help. I repeated. I asked you to see me. And you didn't. So I stopped asking. I'm sorry. Her voice broke. Elena, I am so sorry. I reached across and took her hand. I know you are. But Mom, sorry isn't enough. What do you need? I need you to see me. Not as the daughter who isn't Mason. Just as me, Elena, who has built a life I'm proud of. Who is enough exactly as I am. You are, she whispered. You always have been. Then prove it. Not today, but over time. Show me you mean it. She nodded, crying openly. I will. I promise I will. We sat there for a long time, holding hands, 2 cups of coffee going cold between us. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a start. Mason moved out on November 15th. He left the place immaculate. There was an envelope on the counter with a check for $15,000 for the below-market rent. I should have been paying you more. Thank you for helping me when I needed it. I deposited the check. 3 weeks later, Mason texted, Sienna and I broke up. Turns out she was more interested in the penthouse than me. I'm sorry. That sucks. Yeah, Sunday dinner this weekend. Mom's making pot roast. You going? I thought about it. Maybe. I'll let you know. I went. Mom hugged me at the door, held on longer than usual. And at dinner, when she started to tell a story about Mason's new office, she stopped herself. Actually, she said, turning to me, Elena, didn't you say you had news about the literacy center expansion? It was small, imperfect, a start. I do, I said, and for the first time in years, everyone at the table leaned in to listen. 6 months later, I sold the penthouse for $820,000. Used part of the profit to buy a 2-bedroom condo with a balcony. Used the rest to start a scholarship fund for first-generation college students. I named it after my grandmother, the one who taught me that wealth isn't just what you own. It's what you build, who you help. My 1-bedroom apartment. I still have it. I rent it out now to a young teacher who reminds me of myself, trying hard, staying quiet, making it work. I gave her the same family discount I gave Mason. Because that's who I am. Someone who helps, who builds, who makes space for others. But now I do it with boundaries, with self-respect, with the knowledge that being kind doesn't mean being small. My name is Elena Harper, and I am enough. Drop your city in the comments, let's see how far this story travels.